Hello everyone, hopefully everyone's doing alright. So this is number 6 on my update for my Kenney platform game that I'm making with LibGDX. And this week I have some things that I progressed in. For example, so when we start the game, as you saw, the player dropped down immediately. And the reason it's able to do this now is because I added a physics system. And what that means is that basically we're updating the world physics, which is just using the world object and using the step method to make updates to the world basically. And in my case, I added a bit of gravity, which is why this boxy body of the player got affected by it. It's also a dynamic body, and they get affected by things that things like physics basically. And then the next thing I did is, if you look really closely, which it might be tough because I think my screen's kind of too big, but there's like these two edges at the top and the bottom. And the main reason why I added this is so that I can look for collisions of the player if it hits something with its head or if it jumps on top of something. And this is going to be useful later on when I check for collisions if the player like hits a block, and then I could register that collision and create the appropriate logic to handle that situation. Or if the player jumps on top of an enemy, and then I could analyze that collision and then add the logic so that the enemy gets destroyed. And yeah, and I also changed. So before, like in my last video, I mentioned making the player a pill body, and I saw the video again and it was my bad, but I think the person in the video that I mentioned last time was focused on 3D games, whereas 2D, it's, I guess, not as useful. I mean, I still think it's useful, but in this situation I changed it to a circle, which is still pretty good, and I think it fits my the situation very well. So I made the player's B2 boxy body a circle now. And the last thing that I started working on, which I'll continue the following week, is implementing a controller system. And I was trying to do it in ECS because I guess why not, since I'm trying to like learn. And basically I have this controller component, which at the moment, just for testing, it can only register 3 actions: going left, going right, and going up. Actually, it should be 4 since I need to also register the jump button. But yeah, we have this component, which we gave it to the player component. Here, as you can see here, player entity dot add controller component. And then in our controller system, which processes components, or sorry, it processes entities with the controller component and B2 body component, which, you know, which the player has both of them. So it's going to process that, for example. And this is what I have so far. It's not, I'm still like testing because I'm still trying to understand, but basically what the logic here is, we made this system the input processor, because I was trying to figure out like, oh, should I make the component the input processor, but how do I, or should I make the component the input processor, but then how would I access that in my game screen so that we could let the game know that this thing is going to be handling the input. So instead I made the controller system the input processor. So this means that this system will be managing input presses. So whenever a player presses up, down, left, right, it's gonna process that information and perform the necessary actions. And let me show you guys the quick demonstration of it again. So when we start the game, focus at the bottom part. As you can see, the debugging console. So if I press left, it says press left, press right, and then up, and then jump. And then also another thing that I want to bring up is I created this control config so that we can edit our controls later on. So what I mean by that is that we can actually, based on this config, we can dynamically set the keys that we want. So let's say for me, I think It's good enough to control the player with the WASD because that's what I'm used to. But let's say like someone else doesn't want that or they want to change it. Well, that's what this control config is for. So that way we could change it if we wanted to, and then if the player wants to use a different key for a certain action, and that doesn't mean I need to change the settings screen again. Actually, now thinking about it, but we'll see. I just want to test this out again. This is not like a game that I'm gonna be fully fledged out. I just want to use it again to like learn, not really making a game. And yeah, and that's pretty much it for this week. So next week I'm going to continue working on this control system, and yeah, so that pretty much ends it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.